Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Bigakar Ahmed and welcome to today's video. Today I want to go ahead and speak about the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him's final sermon, and some misconceptions and complete distortions of his words that are used at the mainstream level in Islam. Now, this is a very, very big problem because all of my Sunni Muslim brothers and sisters, every single Friday prayer at every mosque around the world, all of the large lectures, the muftis, and the large imams and sheikhs all spew this narration, knowing it's weak and knowing that there is another narration that trumps it when it comes down to authenticity. So what is the saying that we're going to go ahead and focus on today? This is in the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him's final sermon to mankind, where he goes ahead and says he is leaving behind two weighty things. One is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and one is his Ahlul Bayt, right? Which is the family of the Prophet, the people of his household, okay? Now, the issue that I'm having is that's not what they say in all of their sermons. That's not what's taught to the masses. That's not what's taught to the youth as they grow up. What's taught to them is the Quran and the Sunnah, okay? And this is very, very, very big problem. And the reason this is a very big problem because the Sunnah is the teachings of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. It's a rule book based on examples the Prophet has left, correct? The Ahlul Bayt are physical human beings that breathe air, that have souls, that have pulses, that beat. They're living beings, where the Sunnah is not a living being, correct? So these two things are not even interconnected. These two things are completely different things. They cannot be the same, and they cannot be acted as the same. And I also see a lot of people go ahead, and in the comments, I know people are going to go ahead and say this. They're going to say that the Ahlul Bayt and the Sunnah are intertwined. They're the same thing. If it's the Sunnah or it's the Ahlul Bayt, it doesn't matter. It means the same thing. No, a cat and a dog are two different things. Be very, very, very careful with definitions and words. Let's go ahead and jump into this, and we will go ahead and see exactly what I'm talking about.
I leave behind me two things, the Quran and my example. If you follow them...
So right here he says, I leave behind two things, the Quran and my example. Remember my example. My example is my Sunnah, right? The example that I left behind me, my teachings, correct? So remember that, my example. Just remember this.
I have left among you that which if you hold fast to it, you will never go astray again. The book of Allah. Fear Allah concerning your wives.
And in this video right here, he doesn't even give the second reference where he says the Sunnah, correct? Or my example. He doesn't even say anything. He just says he leaves the book of Allah by itself. Even though very, very, very clearly, which we're going to see, the Quran is not said to be left by itself. It's left with something attached to it, correct? And this is what Ahlus Sunnah wa Jama'ah says. We are Ahlus Sunnah wa Jama'ah. We are the majority that follows the Sunnah. That the Sunnah of the Prophet is so important. How do you know how to pray? How do you know how to do this? How do you know how to do that? How do you know how to do wudu? If the Quran doesn't tell you, you need the Sunnah of the Prophet, correct?
So beware, do not stray from the path of righteousness after I'm gone. To help people live their faith, he shares the two things he leaves behind. He said, the Quran and my example, the Sunnah. And if you follow these things, you will never go astray.
So again, right here, he goes ahead and quotes, I'm leaving behind two things, the Quran and my Sunnah, correct? And we've heard this come from every single one of their mouths, right? And what does he say? If you follow these two things, you will never go astray. What this is a key to salvation, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Our Prophet's saying that if I follow the Quran with another thing, not just the Quran itself, the Quran with this other thing, it's very important to know what this other thing is if it's being put up against the Quran. If it's being equivalated to the Quran, if they're together, correct? That this other thing in the Quran together is a key to my salvation. So I should probably learn what the Prophet actually said here, right? Did he say Sunnah or did he say something else?
He says, I leave you with two things. So long as you hang on to them, so long as you grab onto them. His words, not mine, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He says, you will never go astray. Never, never.
Never go astray if you hold on to them. Ready?
He says, I leave you with the Quran and my family, Ahlul Bayt, and in another narration, a weaker narration, he says, I leave you with the Quran and my Sunnah.
Subhanallah. This is the reason I love my brother Muhammad here, because he goes ahead and gives the truth, right? So this is a Sunni brother, right? When he goes ahead and gives sermons and he gives speeches, and I love this gentleman. I love this guy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him at the highest level. he explains what verses are weak and what verses are strong, and he starts with the strong ones. Subhanallah. He doesn't twist something to the way he wants it. He gives you the proper facts. So what does he go ahead and say? He says in the beginning, right, that the Prophet Muhammad says, stay close to these two things, the Quran and my Ahlul Bayt. Then he says in a weaker narration, he says the Quran and my Sunnah. Meaning that the stronger narration and what we should take is the Quran and Ahlul Bayt. Ahlul Bayt and Sunnah are two different things. Okay?
And his family's on the Sunnah, yani. What's his family on? Some other deen? He says, so long as you hang on to them, you will never go astray.
And this is very important because your Prophet is giving you a key to salvation. You can never go astray if you hang on to these two things. So what is it? The Sunnah or the Ahlul Bayt? And I know he tried to make this parallel saying, what is the family of the Prophet? They're upon the Sunnah. Yeah, they're upon the Sunnah, which means I should only follow them to understand the Sunnah. Not companions, not friends, not neighbors of the Prophet, not random historians, not Bukhari. You understand what I'm saying? This is where it becomes very important that the Prophet is telling us where to get our Sunnah from. He's not telling us that the Sunnah itself is what we hold on to. He's saying that we need to hold on to the Ahlul Bayt because we only can get true Sunnah from them. You understand? They're not intertwined the way that they try to intertwine them. But let's go ahead and continue here. We're almost done and we're almost to the actual narration itself.
خطبة من هذا الحديث أيها الإخوة كتاب الله وسنتي يعني هو في الصحيحين قطعا في الصحيحين وقطعا في المسانيد وفي السنن والمشيخات والمعجمات في كل الكتب حديث متواتر كلا هذا حديث ضعيف لم يخرجه لا البخاري ولا مسلم ولا أبو داود ولا النسائي ولا الترمذي ولا ابن ماجه أيها الإخوة لم يخرجه واحد من أصحاب الكتب الستة ستصدمون الآن طبعا ولا بد أن تصدموا طبيعي أن تصدموا هذا الحديث كتاب الله وسنتي ليس في واحد من الكتب الستة ولا في واحد من الكتب الستة رواه مالك بلاغا بلا إسناد بلغني أن النبي قال تركت فيكم بلغني بلا سند ورواه غيره أيضا مرسلة كالطبري أيها الإخوة في تاريخي مرسلة وأسنده بعضهم لكن في سنده مقال بعضهم جازف بتصحيحه ولكن هناك مقال في تصحيحه
والرواية الصحيحة وسنتي والرواية الصحيحة وسنتي.
And you see, this is a very, very big problem. Like he said, in all 6 of the major Sunni hadith books, authentic Sahih hadith books, there's nowhere in it, in any page, in any narration, in any hadith number that says Quran and my Sunnah. Correct? And this is what is being checked right here. This is what is being questioned right here. What does it say in the authentic 6 Sunni hadith books? Well, let's jump into them. Going ahead and jumping to Jami' al-Tirmidhi, we go ahead and see narrated by Zayd bin Akim, that the Messenger of Allah said, indeed, I am leaving among you, at which if you hold fast to them, you shall not be misguided after me. One of them is greater than the other. The book of Allah is a rope extended from the sky to the earth, and my family, the people of my house, and they shall not be split until they meet at Hawd. Look how you deal with them after me. Okay? So it's very, very important. He's even telling us to look how they're dealt with after me. This is graded Sahih, and this is the hadith number for those who want to go ahead and look it up themselves. So in the Sahih hadith here, in Sunni Muslim hadith sourcing, we see it says the Quran and my Ahlul Bayt. So why are we not saying that at Friday prayer every Friday? Why are the top muftis and the top imams and the top scholars of the Sunni world spewing Quran and Sunnah rather than Quran and Ahlul Bayt? Why? Because it takes authority away from their sect. It takes eyes off of Ahlul Sunnah wa Jama'ah, and it makes Shia people who follow the Ahlul Bayt for their Sunnah, it makes that look appealing, right? And it's kind of crazy to me to go ahead and see that they will be willing at a mainstream level to teach 2 billion Muslims and dilute them with a lie, use the weak narration that says Sunnah instead of Ahlul Bayt in their own Sahih books to dilute their own people and make their sect seem more correct. This is mind-boggling. Continuing on to the most Sahih source in Sunni jurisprudence next to Bukhari. Sahih Muslim 2408. So we go ahead and we are talking to Zayd right here, correct? And he is asked, what did the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, say at his sermon, right? And the Prophet says, "O people, I am a human being. I am about to receive a message, the angel of death, from my Lord, in response to Allah's call, would bid goodbye to you. But I am leaving among you two weighty things. One thing being the book of Allah, in which there is a right guidance and light, so hold fast to the book of Allah and adhere to it. He exhorted us, hold fast to the book of Allah, and then said, the second are the members of my household. I remind you of your duties to the members of my family." Correct? So this is very important. Sahih Muslim 2408. Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, there is no Sahih, more graded, incredible, authenticated sources within Sunni Islam than what I'm showing you right here. This is what the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said from his mouth. He did not say his sunnah. He said his family, the people of his household, his Ahlul Bayt. And this is very important, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. Some of you might say, who cares? The sunnah, the family followed the sunnah. The family and the sunnah are the same. They're not. The family of the Prophet have heartbeats. They're souls. They're breathing, living beings. The sunnah of the Prophet are teachings and examples from the Prophet. The sunnah is learned through the Ahlul Bayt, the living, breathing souls, those people, correct? Now, what tops off this whole entire thing is it's specific too. It's not just like, oh, okay, the family is the sunnah and the sunnah is the family and it could be whatever, or it's intertwined. No, the verse itself completely justifies what it's saying, and it completely destroys any possibility of the Prophet saying sunnah, correct? Because what does it say? Zayd is asked, who are the members of his household? Who are the Ahlul Bayt? Who are these people that are so important that I have to hold fast to them as I do with the Holy Quran? Correct? Who are they? Thereupon he said, are the wives members of his family? Right? The wives are members of the family are those who accept zakat. Okay, my bad. Thereupon he said, his wives are members of the family, but here, in this exact example, the members of his family are those who acceptance of zakat is forbidden. And he said, who are they? Thereupon he said, Ali and the offspring of Ali, Akil and the offspring of Akil, the offspring of Jafar, and the offspring of Abbas. So this is being very specific. Not just does the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in Sahih Sunni Hadith, clearly state that he's leaving behind the Quran and his Ahlul Bayt, but the Ahlul Bayt themselves are named by the person and their family and bloodline. Like, it doesn't even get more clear than that. So this is the problem that I'm having, and this is the problem that I have had with the mainstream masses of Sunni Islam, that they're in fact teaching the wrong words of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. They're putting words in our Prophet's mouth that are unauthenticated and that are weak, even though they have strong narrations to back against it. At a mainstream level, they're teaching their youth that the Prophet did not leave his family as a preservation with the Quran, even though the Prophet himself said it from his own mouth, even though that within their own Sahih books, the Ahlul Bayt is literally mentioned by who they are, by their name and their offspring. Ali and the offspring of Ali, Akil and the offspring of Akil, offspring of Jafar and offspring of Abbas. Like, it can't be any more clear than Sahih Muslim and Al-Tirmidhi, right? As far as a Sunni Muslim goes. It's very sad to see that this is what's happening, and that sectarianism and the growth of Sunni Islam as a sect is more important than the truth and the preservation of our Prophet's words and the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Everyone have a beautiful day, and until next time, free Palestine, free the whole entire world from this deception, and bye-bye.